Good morning and welcome back. Kevin here with Sure Shot Defense. I'm out here at Talon Range. It's been a few weeks since I filmed a video, so we got the Endless Summer Blast coming up at Talon and Dothan in about 2 weeks. So I was going to get a little practice in before that match, and I figured I'd shoot a little video to kind of show you what I do during a practice session to kind of get ready for a bigger match. And you can even do this for a local match. I'm not going to do this morning, but before I go to a bigger match, I always like to clean my gun, and then I bring it out to verify that I put everything back together to make sure everything's working. I also will verify zero to make sure my gun is on and zeroed at the distance that I want it to be zeroed in. It's as simple as coming out here. I will put a black paster on one of our USPSA targets, and whatever distance I'm going to zero at, I'm out here and just shoot 4, 5, 10 shots just to verify that my zero is on. One thing I noticed with a lot of new shooters is no matter the distance or the difficulty of the shot, the cadence of the two shots that they shoot at the target sound the same no matter what the targets look like. You'll see behind me that I've got 3 different targets at the same distance. 2 of them are a little more difficult than the other one is. So when you shoot this array of targets, the cadence of your shots should not sound the same. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how that can look like in both ways. Look something like this. So if you'll see there, my splits, which is the time between one shot to the next, were just about the same on every target. Now if you look, the difficulty of the targets, we have a tuxedo target here on the left, a wide open target, and then a headshot on the right. I should be shooting my cadence a lot faster on an open target at the same distance than I do at the tuxedo or the headshot. Now, the headshot being even more difficult, I may even have to slow my cadence down even more than I would on the tuxedo. Look something like this. So you can see there, I went just a hair faster on the tuxedo target. I really sped it up in the middle on the open target, and then I slowed it back down on the headshot. A lot of how fast you transition from one target to the next, and especially the cadence you shoot the target at, is going to depend on your level of skill. A grandmaster shooter is going to be able to shoot this way faster than an A or B class shooter. So the only way to get this figured out is to come out here and practice these targets and really push your speed. And that's another thing, that when you get out to practice, this is the place where you learn. This is the place where you really want to push your speed and test out how much you can do it consistently. I may be able to burn through this array in 2 seconds, but if I can only do it every 2 out of 10 times, it's not going to work in a match. I want to get something that I consistently do, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, because that's going to translate to more of a match setting than if I'm just burning through it and getting lucky every now and then. After I shoot this drill a few times, just kind of standing still, and I get comfortable with the way I'm shooting and my splits and my transitions and stuff like that, I like to throw a little movement into it. So you'll see here I have the same array set up, same target, same distance, but I've added a couple barrels. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to start at one of the barrels. I'm going to shoot all 3 targets, and then I'm going to move to the next barrel and shoot all 3 targets from there. It does a couple things. It puts pressure on me. It gets me breathing a little bit, and it shows me coming into the targets and lets me practice on how much confirmation I need coming into a more difficult target. Looks something like this. So you'll see there, I shot the 3. I sped it up quite a bit on the middle time, a little slower on the end with the headshot. Came over here. I came into the headshot, so I really confirmed that my sights were on the target before I started firing, because I had a lot of stuff going on at one time, and then I sped it up back through the transitions. This is a really good drill to practice on your transitions, on your movement, on getting your gun up coming into the target. Let's talk about movement. A lot of people lose a lot of time throughout the course of a match just between moving from one position to the next. Once you get your fundamentals of shooting down, which is the number one thing you should work on, making sure you can get 2 alphas into the target at varying distance, anywhere from up close, I would say, to about 25 yards, will cover you for most stages in a USPSA match, especially a local match. When you get to a level 2 or a level 3 match, you know, the target difficulty is going to be more and more and more, because they want to test you. But once you get your fundamentals down of shooting, movement is a huge factor in how you are going to place in the match. I want you to understand, when you move throughout the course of fire, you always have to think about where the muzzle of that gun is. Always have to think about that. Safety first. But people get real timid and they don't want to run like they would normally run if I put you in a race against your best friend, or if I put you out there with somebody and said, you know, run as fast as you can, but you don't have a gun in your hand. People are going to run completely differently, but you don't always have to. You can definitely run throughout a USPSA stage pretty close to how you would run if I put you in a race. I'm going to try to give you a couple of examples of things I've seen and things I've done in the past, and then, you know, a couple ways that I think you can improve and make it a little bit faster. So you can see there, I was real careful when I was running to from my first shooting position to my second shooting position. When you watch professional runners, whether it's an Olympic race or an NFL football player, one thing they always do is they pump their arms. You can do the same thing in the USPSA match, as long as you understand that you got to keep your muzzle, you know, down range. Now, I'm going to run from side to side parallel to the base. So just say we were shooting a stage that the fault lines were parallel like this, and I'm going to show you how I kind of pump my arms. So you will see there that after I fired my first 2 shots, I took off running just like I was racing somebody from the blue barrel to the black barrel. I pumped my arms, still consciously thinking about where my muzzle was, but I was running pretty much as hard as I could from this position to the next. Now, it may not seem much when you're going from one position to the next, but if you're doing that 10, 15, 20 times over the course of a 6-stage match, or even more over a 10, 12, 20 stage match, the time adds up a lot. Everywhere that you can save seconds is going to help you in the match. The last thing I want to talk about with movement is getting out of position. When you start at your first position, whether it's on the X's, whether it's anywhere in the shooting area or anywhere outside of the shooting area, I think it is very important to get your body in the right position to move. I think a lot of people, you know, just say the starting position was over on this barrel. I'm going to give you an example in just a second. You know, a lot of people go and they stand at the barrel just like this, and they wait for the timer to go off. If you can consciously think, what position do I need to put my body in to move immediately after I fire in this shooting position to get to my next position, you will also save a lot of time. I'll show you the difference. It looks something like this. So you can see there, I started standing straight up just like this. When the timer went off, I had to get into my firing position. We want to start off the stage in a firing position. So when we're going to shoot our first target, we already want to have our feet and our knees and our body positioned in a way that we are ready to shoot as soon as we get the gun out of the holster. That will save a second or two just from that starting position. Looks something like this. So that time, when I went to shoot, I did not have to squat down. I did not have to spread my feet apart. I fired my 2 shots, and then I was gone from the same foot position that I was in when I started. That is very, very important.